Adobe kicked off the celebration for the 25th anniversary of FrameMaker and the 20th anniversary of RoboHelp with the inaugural Adobe TechComm Enterprise Summit. Held in Boston, Massachusetts and San Jose, California, the two events attracted decision makers, strategists, and managers in the technical authoring and publishing departments from many different industries.
The audience for our communications tend to be end users of large computer systems. I work in the government industry, so our clientele is public service workers.
Our audience is the end user of the product, using fitness equipment, personal trainers.
The primary audience for our output are professional engineers who are in the semiconductor industry.
So we target our documentation for lab technicians and doctors for the use of medical diagnostic equipment.
I do a lot of work with educators, and one of the reasons that I was looking at Captivate was because of the way that it works nicely with SCORM, with learning management systems, and the ability to assess learners.
Our audience are banks, mostly, although other financial institutions as well, mortgage servicing companies. And they're overwhelmed by the amount of regulations, the amount of employees. They're overwhelmed by the shortness in support staff, or their limited support staff, and they need help, but they need help that's effective. And so we utilize Adobe products to help us with both training and procedures so that we can streamline our efforts and get the best product out there for multiple purposes.
Attendees had the opportunity to hear experts dispel myths about technical writing and simplify content strategy.
How many of you, raise your hands, have misplaced your car keys? All right, all of you forgetful people are just like me. And yet, I'm supposed to believe that writers and editors can instantaneously recall 600 style rules, but they can't find their keys. Think about that, right? We're asked to somehow guide our jobs by looking at probably a document created in, gasp, Microsoft Word, that doesn't do anything, right? It sits on a shelf or in a LAN location somewhere on the secret place where all documents are stored.
When you migrate into data, and when you use a solution that Tom Aldous demonstrated about saving the documents to XML, it will virtually eliminate your broken cross-references. Especially after translation, they just aren't broken anymore. They just open up and they're there. After translation, you cannot imagine how easily cross-references, external cross-references break in either Microsoft Word or unstructured FrameMaker. It's just the nature of the beast.
They found out how customers leverage Adobe's technical communication solutions.
So we have a kind of a graphics repository, and we're incorporating all our graphics by reference. So if a screenshot changes, we change that screenshot one place, and magically all that screenshot's updated throughout. And we're using our books to sequence our files in the right order depending upon the purpose of the book. And the templates have been great because we have different templates depending upon which manual, different headers, different footers, different cover pages and so on. So that's worked out really well for us.
They heard from the Adobe product management team on industry trends and Adobe solutions for the TechComm professional.
By moving to structured authoring and by enabling reuse of content and ensuring consistency across documents, organizations can actually reduce their localization budget.
As much as it's the product evangelist, I can see myself more as maybe the user evangelist too. So bring that story to Adobe also and say, this is what the users are doing, this is what the users are all about. Let's see if we can't make this product user-friendly. And there's been some really good enhancements. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to use FrameMaker, but we have this configurable interface now based upon your role. So you can click on a workspace and say, I'm a user, and it configures itself so you only see the palettes that are required for a user, or an editor, an XML technologist.
So at a very, very high level, there are three components: content authoring, publishing, and of course multi-screen, multi-channel publishing, and then content optimization. So we talked about authoring and publishing. I just want to talk a little more about content optimization part. So once the content is consumed, is published, we also need to understand how our end users are consuming the content. What are the topics they like? What are the topics they don't like? What are the topics they are viewing? What are the topics they are not viewing? The 80-20 rule we talked about, the chances are that 20% of your content is getting 80% of the user's attention. That's where most of the focus is. So why not identify what the 20% part is and focus our energy more on that, so we optimize the parts which are most important for our users.
Of course, there was plenty of time for networking. And what did they take away from the summit?
I think it was a very good conference. I was very impressed with the knowledge of the presenters, and they presented a lot of very useful techniques for solving current business problems with both RoboHelp and FrameMaker.
I've gotten very excited about publishing our guides to multiple device formats. We don't produce help at this time, but I think that our customers would like our user guides on the iPad, on iPhone, be able to read it on mobile devices.
The key takeaways for me were the last session on using the language attribute to be able to put in translated language signal words into the documents automatically, and then also being able to ask questions with the Adobe professionals directly.
I see the tech comm industry moving in a more mobile direction in terms of output types, so I think Adobe can certainly help with that. They have different output types for mobile devices. You can integrate with Google Analytics. Just lots of ways to measure how your users are consuming the product.
I see the tech comm industry as evolve or die. It's now or never. I think that the tech comm industry needs to be looking more towards tying to business drivers and speaking about business drivers instead of always speaking about content or just tech comm.
My key takeaways today would be some of the new capabilities that they're making in RoboHelp, since that's one of my primary areas of responsibility, and the benefits of the integration of the technical communication suite and where that and how that is going to benefit our production process.
So I believe that many organizations have came to this event to learn what are their options, basically. They have all these challenges, all this content that they want to manage. They want to deliver the right information to the right people at the right time, in the right format, in the right, on the right device. And increasingly it's becoming challenging because they have all kinds of tools. And so they're trying to bring all their content together and find a way to handle it in one place.